If your goal is to ruin your own potential, well, honestly, you're probably already doing a pretty solid job. Let me ask you something. I'm going to list a few things, and I want you to see if any of them sound like you. You wait until you feel completely ready before starting. You let other people decide if what you're doing is good enough. You keep quiet when you could ask for what you want. You stick to the version of yourself that feels safe. Sound familiar? That's just a start. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly how all these little choices quietly stack up to keep your potential locked away. And it usually starts with one thing: waiting. Waiting until the moment feels perfect. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. I need more information first. I'll start when I feel confident. It feels smart, responsible even. But the truth? Feeling ready doesn't come before action. It comes after. So if you're holding out for the perfect moment, congratulations. You've built the ultimate delay system. And the longer you wait, the more natural it feels. Think about the last time you waited. How often did that perfect moment actually show up? Rarely, right? And when it didn't, what did you do? Wait again and again. And each time it feels natural, almost reasonable, because nothing exploded, nothing broke. That's the trap. The longer you wait, the more your brain thinks this is normal, safe behavior. It quietly reinforces the habit of delay. You start avoiding challenge, avoiding friction, and before you know it, starting anything at all feels risky. Maybe you wanted to write a book, but you kept polishing chapter 1 forever because you felt like it wasn't perfect enough. Maybe you wanted to start a project, but research became an excuse to never act. You just kept researching, reading, and never took any action. Or maybe you wanted to ask for help or guidance, but kept telling yourself, I'll just wait until I figure it out myself and I don't want to bother anyone else. Every time you delay, you reinforce the story that you're not ready, and ironically, you'll keep waiting until ready feels real. And the natural part? By now, it does feel natural. It feels like the right way to handle things when in reality, it's quietly holding you back. Notice how harmless it feels? That's exactly what makes it dangerous. The smallest delay habits have the biggest silent impact. And once you're waiting, it's easy to get stuck in your head. Thinking feels productive. It feels safe, but it rarely produces results. We all do this, myself included. Planning, researching, analyzing, it feels like progress. You might watch 10 videos on how to start a side hustle but never take the first step. You may read dozens of articles about productivity, motivation, skill building, then do nothing except for write it all down in your to-do list. You might just replay conversations over and over, trying to figure out the perfect response instead of just answering it or saying it. That's the thing. Thinking alone doesn't move the needle. And the danger is subtle. The more you think, the easier it becomes to let someone else hold the standard of what counts as good enough for you. You've probably noticed it before. Maybe a friend, a colleague, or even a social media post makes you question your effort. And suddenly, your internal measuring stick is gone. You're letting others define your success without even realizing it. And the worst part is, it actually feels productive. Your brain congratulates you for being thoughtful. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking, time is moving, and nothing has actually changed. And that brings me to my next point. Here's another quiet way to ruin your potential for good: letting other people decide your worth. You put something out into the world, an idea, a project, or a social media post, and immediately start waiting for feedback. Positive reaction? Great, that must mean you're doing it right. No reaction? Perfect, quietly stop. Over time, your confidence stops coming from you. It comes from likes, comments, compliments, or someone else's approval. And the tricky part? You don't even notice it happening. You measure your success by the reaction of strangers online. You postpone action because you think others will judge it before it's ready. You rely on praise to feel motivated instead of your own curiosity or drive. It's subtle, but it's powerful, because once you start depending on external validation, asking for what you really want becomes risky. You start playing small to stay safe, and growth, real growth, it quietly fades away. And once seeking approval becomes your default, staying silent and avoiding asking feels like the safest choice most of the time. And that's exactly what my next point covers. We all do this. It's uncomfortable. You might get rejected. So instead of asking, we hint, we hope, we wait. You want help, but you tell yourself, I think I can handle it. You want an opportunity, but you hope someone notices. You want feedback, but you stay silent so you can avoid the awkwardness of asking. It feels safe. It avoids rejection, but here's the thing. Nothing changes if you don't ask. And I talked about this in my previous video, but opportunities pass, growth stalls, and every time you stay quiet, your brain silently learns that you don't need to take action, you can just wait for someone else. Think about the last time you didn't ask for something, whether it was a favor, an advice, or an opportunity. Did it magically come to you? Probably not. Yet, we repeat this habit time and time again, telling ourselves it's reasonable, necessary, and safe. It's quiet, it's subtle, but it's powerful. Because staying silent doesn't just block progress, it shapes your own identity. And that's where the next idea comes in. After a while, staying quiet, delaying, and overthinking becomes part of who you are. You start protecting the version of yourself that feels safe. Ever heard of these statements before, whether it's from friends, family, or just in social media? I'm just not a morning person. I've never been creative. I'm not the type to ask for help. Statements like these feel honest, but really, they're excuses. They put a cap over your potential. Comfort feels safe, predictable, and familiar, and it quietly builds a ceiling for potential that you may never notice. Think about it. The more you stick to the familiar, the easier it becomes to avoid risk, challenge, or exposure. You start living in a version of yourself that feels okay, but okay is where potential quietly dies. And every time you defend this identity, it reinforces itself. I've always been this way becomes a story you tell yourself, and slowly the ceiling becomes invisible. Once comfort becomes the default, your life adjusts. Your routines, your people, even your environment all shrink to fit the version of yourself you're protecting. Same routines, same places, same conversations. Comfort feels safe. It feels stable, but it quietly limits growth. Growth comes from friction, from challenge, from exposure. And if you avoid all of that, potential quietly shrinks. You might order the same meal at the same restaurant, never trying something new. You might stick to familiar social circles, avoiding any uncomfortable but rewarding conversations. You might say no to opportunities because stepping out of comfort is just too much effort. It's quiet, and most of the time you might not even notice it. But over time, all of these small choices add up. By the time you notice, your life has slowly, almost invisibly, adapted to keep you exactly where you are. And then comes one of the sneakiest traps, talking about struggle without acting on it. I'm busy improving myself. I'm trying, but it's a tough season. Sound familiar? It feels productive, feels meaningful, feels like evidence that you're working on yourself. But if you actually do nothing towards those goals, it's just a story. A story that keeps potential locked in place. And the scariest thing is, we defend these stories even when we notice them. Familiarity feels safer than growth. This is where the quietest damage happens. Not dramatic failures, not huge mistakes, just talking about change while doing nothing. And if you do this consistently, you've basically mastered the art of staying stuck. Here's the truth most people ignore. You don't ruin your potential with one bad decision. You ruin it with 100 tiny, invisible ones. The choices you call safe, the habits you call comfortable, the excuses you tell yourself every day. And when you add them all up, you're not failing, you're not stuck, you're just quietly not becoming who you could be. And one day you realize the life you could have had never happened. Because the worst way to ruin potential is to let it quietly go unused. That's it for me, and that's the complete guide to how to ruin your potential. Thanks for watching, Rardo, and I'll see you in the next video.